Olo YouTube. It's been a while, but that's because last week I had holidays, and just as the Canada Day holiday was rolling in, we got this massive heat wave, and it was awesome. Normally I take holidays, and it's like wah wah rain. It's like November and July. It's brutal, but last week was so awesome. Me and my son James were out in the backyard in the pool all day long, every day, playing ball hockey. It was awesome. Yeah, so I haven't filmed a video in a while, but I'm back, and we did watch a few things. The first thing was the second Austin Powers, which may be a little inappropriate, but he seemed to like the first one a lot, so I thought we'd try the second. The Spy Who Shagged Me, and man, I really wish Mike Myers would get a fourth one going, because it's one of the best comedy series of all time for anybody who hasn't ever watched it. But anyways, in the second movie, it picks up, right after kind of where the first movie closes off. Doctor Evil has frozen himself in space and flying around the universe in a big boy statue. While Austin Powers is celebrating his honeymoon with his wife Vanessa, who ends up being a fembot and tries to kill him. So after she blows up, he is excited to be single again. So then Austin soon learns from the Ministry of Defense that Dr. Evil has come back to Earth, and they discover this because he's on the Jerry Springer Show with his son Scott, and all hell breaks loose, as it always does on the Jerry Springer Show, and it's pretty hilarious. So then Dr. Evil's latest scheme is to use a time machine that he's built to go back to the year 1969, 2 years after Austin Powers was cryogenically frozen, and then steal Austin's mojo while he's helplessly frozen, thus taking away his powers in the future and gaining easy defeats. So then the Ministry of Defense creates their own time machine, so then Austin goes back in time to prevent Dr. Evil from doing this, and once they're back in the year 1969, we witness a few things. Number two and Frau Farbissina have created a clone of Dr. Evil, who's like 1/8 his size or something like that, and who Dr. Evil dubs Mini-Me, which is an amazing new character for the series at that point. And the other new character is Fat Bastard, a Scottish guard who Dr. Evil enlists as the one to steal Austin's mojo, and he's so bloody funny. And it's another character played by Mike Myers. And then the other new character, who is super hot and amazing, is Heather Graham as a secret agent named Felicity Shagwell, who meets Austin and helps him out, and obviously has a romantic interest. But with his mojo eventually being stolen, he can't fulfill on that. So then once his mojo is stolen, Dr. Evil's plans go to the next level, which is to build a super laser on the moon and then blow up all of the world's most major cities unless they pay him a hefty ransom. So from that point on, it's just this attempt by Austin and Felicity to stop this from happening, and all sorts of action and hilarity ensue. So that is that. The second thing we watched is actually on the holiday Monday on Canada Day. We went to the movies as a family and saw The Incredibles 2. And, it's been 14 years since the first one, and the first one was awesome. The second one, I liked it even more. It was amazing. It was, the first one I found, as good as it was, and you always get this in first movies in a series, but it's slow. There's slow parts, right? Because they're developing characters, they're setting everything up. The second one is just nonstop action. Right from the start, pretty much. It picks up right at the end of the first one when the Incredibles family is pursuing the Underminer, who they eventually, they don't really stop. He gets away with the bank robbery he was trying to pull off, and all sorts of destruction around the city is caused, and they barely just save City Hall or whatever from being destroyed by one of his giant drills. So after that happens, and supers are technically illegal at that point, they decide to pull funding on the superhero relocation program. So they basically, Incredibles, basically have 2 weeks to, find a job find a new place to live and get their regular lives on track. Um, but after the battle with the Underminer, Frozone is approached by a representative from a company called DevTech, who is run by a guy named Winston, who's kind of the face of the company. They're a telecommunications company. And behind the scenes is his sister Evelyn, who designs all of their tech and stuff like that. So he is a massive superhero fan, and he wants to bring supers back. And his plan is to bring the Incredibles, Frozone, and heroes back, and outfit them with cameras and stuff like that, so that the public can see what actually happens during these battles, and that they're actually trying to stop evil from happening. Because all the public ever sees is the aftermath and destruction with the Incredibles or whatever superhero it may be, at the foot of it all, right? So, so then he chooses Helen as kind of his main focus for this, and she's the one he sends out into the field to stop crime, and a new villain happens to come along at that point called Screenslaver, and so she starts stopping some crimes that he's committing, and it all seems to be going well up until the Screenslaver has, after they think they stop him, they really haven't, and he engages this last plan that's going to bring superheroes out of the fold for good. Everybody's going to hate them, and it's going to be the end of superheroes, basically, as we know it. So it's up to the Incredibles, and especially the kids have to step up. The movie has a lot to do with the kids kind of maturing and coming into their powers and becoming superheroes as well, despite the parents maybe not wanting that. But for them to step up and save everybody and stop the Screenslaver's plan. So that was that. And then the last thing we watched later in the week was this, which I was so super pumped for because I love everything giant robot. Transformers, Voltron. I've loved robots since I was a kid, and I still do. So when the first Pacific Rim came out, I saw the trailer and I was like, whoa. And I love the movie. And then so when the second one, Pacific Rim Uprising, came out, somehow I never ended up seeing it in the theaters, unfortunately. But yeah, as soon as it came out on Blu-ray and stuff, I picked it up right away, and me and James watched it during the week last week. And so the story behind it is that it's been 10 years since the battle to close the breach and prevent the kaijus from coming through took place, and a lot of the world is rebuilding after all of the destruction that was caused for so many years. But some areas of the world haven't, and it's a bit lawless, it's a bit chaotic, and people have to just kind of scrabble to get by. And that's when we're introduced to the main character, I guess, in the movie, Jake Pentecost, who is the son of Stacker Pentecost, who was the guy who sacrificed himself to close the breach in the first movie. So he's kind of a scavenger. He scavenges for anything he can do to get by and make a living. In his latest haul that he's trying to get is to go into a Jaeger scrapyard and acquire a power core. While he's there, the power core is missing. It goes missing, and the guys that he's trying to get it for pull guns on him. He has to double cross them, all sorts of stuff. But he's able to track the power core on a device, and he sees that it's moving, so he chases it down and chases this girl named Amari? Yeah, Amara, to her kind of base, where he finds that she's built her own Jaeger, a small one, and that's why she was after this power core, was to complete her Jaeger. But the authorities track Jake to her hideout, and then this massive Jaeger called November Ajax, I think it is, chases them and stuff, and they try to escape in her little Jaeger, who she calls Scrapper, but they eventually catch them, of course. And Jake is gotten off by his sister Mako, who we all saw as a Jaeger pilot in the first movie. Only if he comes back to the Jaeger program, which he had been enrolled in before, but I think he got kicked out of. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be his father, that sort of thing, and so he has to take it. So he comes back to the Jaeger program, to the Pan Pacific Defense Corps, and Amara comes with him because, showing this affinity for building her own Jaeger, they think she would be a good new recruit to be a pilot eventually. So she joins the kind of recruits portion of the program, whereas Jake is reunited with his old co-pilot Nate Lambert, and they are responsible for training these kids. But the Jaeger program is in jeopardy because this company called Shao Corporation has unveiled unmanned drone technology that will make the Jaegers obsolete. It'll decrease deployment time. The pilots will be safe because they'll be operating the Jaegers from, a remote location. So they're worried about that. And then after a rogue Jaeger attacks Sydney Harbor and causes all sorts of destruction, the drone program is put through quickly. It's expedited, and they begin deployment. But things go awry right off the bat as the drones suddenly sprout like kaiju. They turn into living kaijus within these drones. It's really weird. And they begin attacking every city they're deployed to, and causing all sorts of chaos. So then Jake and Nate try to chase down this rogue Jaeger, and they're led to this defunct Jaeger base in Siberia, where they engage this Jaeger and destroy it, only to find out that it was being controlled all along by a kaiju brain. So obviously something's going on, and so the rest of the movie, they have to get down to exactly how this all came to be, because the breach has been closed. They don't know where it's all coming from, all the kaijus. So the rest of the movie is just them figuring it out, and then figuring out how to stop it all. So it's a lot of action. It's a lot of giant robots just fighting and destroying stuff, and which is basically right up my alley. So it wasn't as good. No, I don't want to say it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was just different. But I think it was as good as the first one, just different. It wasn't. It kind of surprised me, like Avengers. It went in a direction I wasn't really expecting, so I was caught off guard a bit by that. But it was just as good, just different. So, but I highly recommend. All three of those movies are fantastic, and and I'm sure I will be back again shortly with more. Bye bye.